I don't know my password. That's crazy.
Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody, into the Hump Day Hotline on the Buffalo Rumblings podcast. Oh my
Hump
God!
Day! You
Did you hear what
forgot.
I just did?
You thought I wasn't gonna do it. I know you thought
No,
I forgot.
no. Did you hear what I did?
No, you
I
heard
said I
it was
said on the
third down.
Buffalo Rumblings
Oh boy.
podcast network.
Oh boy. You know
Holy,
what? I heard it and it was so like
that's
natural
what
that I didn't even hear it.
years
It was just like
years of it. So let's try that again. Welcome into the Hump Day Hotline on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by Believe. QJ Spencer King.
what's up, man?
So good to have every single one of you
Oh,
guys
man.
joining us. Welcome. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. You can find my co-host Jay Spence the King on Twitter at Jay Spence the King. It is so good to have you guys with us. Please do us a favor. Please like. Please subscribe. It's interesting to me that it just felt completely natural, and I even practiced it. I got in front of the mirror and practiced it so I wouldn't say the old place, and it just rolled right out.
No, you know what? Sterling and I did we did like the promo record, like when you set everything up for megaphone and all that you got to do. So we recorded that and then we kind of did like a little, and same thing. It was like I did my little outro, and as soon, the same thing. We do it over here at Buffalo Rums, man. We love each other, take care of each other. I was like, we got to go back and redo that. But yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
So now I'm all red in the face because I feel like I've botched this thing already, but it's good. This lets everybody know that this truly is live. There is no editing. This is live, and we appreciate everybody that's joining us. Welcome to everybody that's in the comment section. If you are not watching us live on YouTube right now, please jump over to YouTube. The comment section is just usually a little more fresh, a little more popping over there. And if you are watching us or listening to this in post as a podcast on Thursday or Friday, or maybe even next Monday, do us a favor, please like, please subscribe. Jay Spence the King. What have you been doing with yourself? Real quick, what have you been doing with yourself? How you been? Have you fully cleansed yourself of the 2023 season and decompressed? And are you fresh and alive? And are you just vibing with juice?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I unplugged this summer for the first time, like since you and I started doing content.
Yep.
And it was the best thing that I ever could have done for myself. So it was difficult. Like before we went live, we just talked about it. Like you sent me topics for today, and it still just was a little difficult to kind of like dive into them. I got a couple guest spots that I'm gonna do this week and next week. The things that they're sending me, it's just like it's tough. But I'm gonna get back in, man. It's time. I'm ready. But this summer's been fun. Did some traveling. Got to spend some time with some family, and
awesome.
Just really, like I said, just unplug. That life is good. What about you? I know overreaction is popping, but what else is going on?
Nothing really. Just enjoying the lake. We got a couple more weeks here at the lake, which is great. So we did this last year, and the train already went by. So you're not going to get. And I don't even think I have the train horns loaded. Like I put all of this together today. I'm like, oh, I need a cover. I need a video. And like 10 minutes before we start, I was like, I need a background. It's been a little bit of a flurry, but no, things are great. It's great to hear your voice. It's great to see your face. It's great to have the duo back in town. We've been doing this for a long time, and I'm excited to keep doing it with you on this network specifically. So this is really great. So with that, why don't we dive into this thing? I have not gone to camp. I don't, as of right now, have tickets for camp. I logged on to the site through the ticket holder portal and was looking at dates, and I was like, I don't even think I want to go because I have to leave this, right? And that's what I did 2 times last year. And it's a significant investment to get up, drive all the way out there, be there for camp. I would take McKenna with me. We'd have lunch, and we'd get back to the lake about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever it is. It was just too much. And even with that, though, the content that's coming out, the quality of the content, the amount of content, like the frenzy around this team is, I haven't seen it like this. We were talking to Jenna Cottrell last night on the beat, and I just haven't seen, like, YouTube is just full of just Bills content, just so many, just all the big dogs, all of the media folks. There's rogue people I've never seen. There's national people like cutting stuff for the Bills, and Josh Allen this and overrated that, and the wide receiver room, which we're going to talk about. But it's just amazing how much is going on. How much have you locked into it? So let me ask you that question. Not that this is an interview, but I'm just kind of curious. How much have you locked in? Because I've locked in, but I'm not where I normally am, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. I have not locked in at all. When I say, like, I haven't, like, the key isn't even in the freaking, like, I mean, when I tell you, like, I have been so unplugged on football, on Bills, on sports. No, I've been, like, lately I've been on the Olympics.
Yeah.
But outside of that, man, I've been, the reason for that is because, and you know this, we know this up front. So the last few years, the amount of work and the amount of time that we put in during the off season to prepare for the season and to do a lot of things that, I feel like we were doing certain things that not everybody was doing, which is cool. And then other, there was a lot of preparation. And this year, especially with Buffalo Rumblings, with the way everything happened, where the podcasts were kind of let go out of nowhere and all that, it was like, you know what? I'm going to take time and really not have responsibility. I did.
Yeah.
And I'm a whole lot happier. I don't know if you could feel it through the screen, but I'm a much better person. So
your energy's coming out for sure. No, and you were the one, and we talked about this, and we'll let this go for the listeners here in a second. This is just obviously interpersonal stuff between me and one of my best friends. You and I talked a lot over the years, just because Spence finally ends his holdout. Yeah, it was, the contract negotiations were tough. Spence and Brandon Ayuk right up there together. Because in the last couple of years, I did take breaks. So the off season would come, and then I would take 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks before, and I do a one-off here or there if you and I wanted to do a one-off on specifically Hump Day or on the draft or on free agency. But I would take those times to decompress. And this year I didn't get the opportunity because obviously Jerry John and I did this whole entire thing, and we're excited to have you. So I'm glad that you're rested. I'm glad that the creative juices, hopefully that the banks are all full again. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to having you as a voice on this network. This is something you and I have been talking about, building this brand for a very, very long time. So it's great to have you a part of it. It's great that this was one of the first conversations I think you and I had when Rumblings quit.
Hold on. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
But we're back. So I got to cut you off. Are you wearing a overreaction? You got overreaction swag on?
No.
Shut
this is
the
the
door.
No, this is not. This is,
I was about to.
No, we have overreaction t-shirts. This is the Ted Lasso London soccer Bills jersey. Yeah,
I just saw the top of the joint, and I'm like, wait a minute now. Like, I don't have no overreaction swag, and you over here just. But okay, I got you. I'll be.
All patient. We have are the black t-shirts with the overreaction buffalo head, and then the Wildest Dreams Land, which I haven't said Wildest Dreams Land in a long time. So it's been a minute since I've used even that phrase. So looking forward to.
Man. I think
back because beautiful segue as we're talking about just this wide receiver group, and you really haven't had an opportunity to have a lot of conversation around the wide receiver group and kind of what's going on. But there's people out there now speculating that Keon Coleman is already the number one wide receiver on this team. It's been interesting for me just to kind of see a whole group of new guys. One returning wide receiver, Khalil Shakir, is the only returning real wide receiver. And then there's been some even conversations lately about Tyrell Shavers making some noise, who's also potentially going to be the kick returner on this football team. How do you see? So for me, when you think about the 5 to 7, what are your thoughts on who stays, who's a lock, who's not, who's fighting? Where are you at just kind of on this wide receiver room right now?
Well, the way I look at the wide receiver room, I look at it a little differently than what I've seen on Twitter and on social. I understand that we're excited. I understand the season's coming back. Maybe I am a pessimist. I don't know. But I look at it as if we have a team with an overabundance of wide receiver 2s and 3s.
Agreed.
And I don't think that that's a negative thing. So all the talk now that people are saying, like, you know what, Keon, he's already a wide receiver 1. Okay, you could say it. I'm going to reserve the right to let him show improve. Right now, what I think it's training camp. I think the first few days we got to see him make some nice plays against the air, and I think that he made some good plays with pads on. I don't think we've seen things yet that make me say, oh, this dude is about to be like
Right.
the Bills wide receiver 1 for the next 10 years. I don't
Right.
see that.
Right.
It's nothing that makes me like, I remember how I felt when I saw Eric Modes for the first time in person. It was like, oh, we didn't have the team, but it
Right.
was like, oh,
Stephon
I don't
Diggs.
feel that yet. It was
Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs.
Yep.
I don't feel that yet. Now, I don't think it's fair to put that type of pressure on Keon, so I'm not going to. What I think is right now, I'm going. And when you mentioned Josh earlier, and you talked about Waters Dreamland, I said I think it's coming back. This is why I think we have a team that, for the most part, Josh is going to have to spread the ball around like we want him to do anyway. But I think after Kincaid, we're going to have a team full of guys that between 600 and 800 yards. We're not going to have it where it's going to be like Diggs for 1,400 and then another guy for close to 1,000, and then everybody else is that. It's not going to be that. It's going to be spread around. Cook is going to be that guy, and Josh has to. He may not win MVP because let's face it, we're in Buffalo, right? But
yep.
He's going to have an MVP caliber season to where, regardless of what the names say on the back of those jerseys, Josh is going to have to deliver every single week. And I love Khalil Shakir. I think highly of him. Like, I think that he can develop a little bit more and really become something that Bills fans want him to be. I'm just not quite there after seeing, what does he have, like 65 receptions from Josh or something like that? Like,
I can't remember exactly what the number was, but it's probably close.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just can't and I know he had a really good second half of the season and playoff stretch, but I just can't quite jump out and say, we got to, whether it's him or Keon, I can't jump. Now, I'll say Dalton Kincaid is our wide receiver 1, but he's a tight end.
That's a pretty solid projection. A lot of people are talking about the offense is going to effectively run through Dalton. When you look at Khalil, I think you know what you get. I think you know what you get, and I think there's room and opportunity for him to continue to grow there. He's had a pretty solid camp. I mean, it's been quiet, but I think that's, I think the eyes at camp are not on Khalil Shakir. I think they're on Curtis Samuel. I think they're on Keon Coleman. I think they're on, Chase Claypool has a toe. He's injured. Obviously it was very well noticed that MVS was kind of absent and missing and wasn't really catching the ball or in plays. And then it came out afterwards that he was a little bit late getting to the team, wasn't as familiar with the playbook. And Josh, I think, was the one that said that, hey, expect to see more and more of him. And then sure enough, yesterday on Tuesday at camp, they started, working him in and getting him the ball. That's right. I'd missed that part too. Thank you, Richard Rush. Make sure you hump that like. Got to get back in the spring or in the roll here. Like, there's a roll to this.
Hey, we're in training camp too. Okay,
we are absolutely in training camp for the Hump Day Hotline. But it's been for me. The thing about Keon Coleman, the concern I have, which is from what I've seen, what I've watched, and what I've read, is somewhat being dampened. The concern is just he doesn't have that separation speed. And we know that Josh Allen and even Greg Cosell, when Greg Cosell was on with John Fina and Jerry Strosky back with Rumblings, Greg Cosell said, and Orlovsky and some other guys have said it as well, that Josh Allen is not a precision quarterback. He's not a guy. He's not Peyton Manning. He's not Tom Brady. He's not going to 3-step fire. He's not going to 5-step fire. He's not going to 7-step fire. Like, he's not going to do those things and throw anticipatory passes like, whatever. Josh is a guy that sees a guy flash, paints him with the football. That's what Josh does. So therefore, Josh's game a lot of times is predicated on having somebody flash, and Diggs was good at that. Like, I've been at camp many times to see Diggs like working a corner tight at camp and then flash a shoulder and Allen will just put it on his shoulder like one-handed into the pocket. Whatever I was going with all that, sorry, Spence. The concern I had was that Keon couldn't necessarily flash open, get yards of separation the way we've seen Beasley do, the way we've seen Shakir do, the way we've seen Diggs do, and these other guys do. But he is just a sure-handed kind of alpha. Like, if you body him up, I'm trying to think of like, I don't want to say Mike Evans, but kind of like a Mike Evans-esque vibe. I'm not saying he's Mike Evans, but there's an aspect of like, he's a big body, 6'4", right? If you get into him, he's still going to be able to jump up and pull the ball down. So I feel like a lot of my concerns are getting dampened, but you're not going to know until week 1, right?
Well, you know what? I look at that, and so when you talk about just all of that, I still look at it to where it's like, I'm really looking at this offense differently. So like, I know what we're looking at is what we've seen from Josh over the last few years and everything.
Right,
but the way I'm looking at it now, I think think that's by design. Like they wanted to draft a guy like Keon on purpose.
Yeah,
Like I know Diggs will flash and it's good, but I think what Keon
Mm-hmm.
is going to be good for is down in that red zone when Josh doesn't rush for a touchdown from 7 yards out or from 6 yards out. It's been a problem lately. Like, and we don't want to admit this. I get it, but it's either Josh or it's kind of like not happening.
Yeah.
Keon's going to help that. I think Cook is going to, and I think Davis is going to help that. But I think what we're going to see, Samuel, I was just having this conversation the other day. Samuel is going to look actually, I was talking to Sarah about it. He's going to look a whole lot like Deebo Samuel. I'm not saying Deebo Samuel numbers.
Right.
So please don't go and quote me and say, Jay Spencer King said, I'm not doing that. What I'm saying is the way Joe Brady is going to use him, you're going to see it. I think Samuel will run the ball. He'll have more handoffs than Davis.
Mm-hmm.
He'll have more handoffs than Ty Davis or Ty Johnson. He'll be the second running back on this team listed as a wide receiver.
Right.
I think what you're going to see out of that is going to confuse. Remember back when Isaiah McKenzie was on his team?
Oh, yeah.
And remember the first year when it was not, I think maybe it was the second year when Brian Daboll was here, and it was like, oh my God, McKenzie is actually a weapon. Like we use him on these jet sweeps and we use him here. And then after that, he sucked for like the rest of, I'm sorry, he wasn't as good for the rest of, we're not on Buffalo Rumblings, baby. I could talk. He wasn't as good.
Right.
I think Samuel is going to be a far better version of what Isaiah McKenzie could have been and what fans wanted him to be in Buffalo.
Yeah.
So that added element is going to completely, we won't necessarily have to depend on force feeding it to Diggs like we did, feeding it to Davis. Now it's going to be a fun offense to watch. I'm actually looking forward to seeing the team be more methodical and not kind of rely on big plays from Josh and not rely on certain types of plays. I'm looking forward to seeing us have like 6-minute drives, 4 minute, like consistent. Let's drive the ball down the field. You're still going to get Josh. Don't worry. Josh is still going. He got the arm. Samuel has the speed. We got a couple guys that can do it. It's going to happen. But I think overall, you're going to see a completely different offense, and it may upset some Bills fans. But I'm all for it.
You heard it here first on the Hump Day Hotline on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by Believe. Jay Spence the King says that Josh is going to be Josh, and you're going to get him. So hang on tight. The question is, and we can transition after this. The question is Keon? Are they going to give Keon the opportunity to go from jump? Right. We saw what they did with Khalil, 5th-round pick, and some other players. Gabe. It took him a little bit too. Are they going to let Keon come in and ball out week 1? Is he going to be ready? Are they going to throw him to the Wolves, or is it going to be what the Bills brass typically does, which is give him 3 games, 4 games? Are you going to see MBS and Curtis Samuel and Khalil Shakir kind of be the wheels of this team until they kind of give Keon a little bit more of a workload? But we'll find out. Transitioning
real quick, because that part I don't think what I'm saying is long term, like at least the first season. I don't think Keon's going to be that guy. And if I'm wrong, I'll be glad to be wrong. Like, please, I beg y'all, tell me how wrong I am when he comes out and he's that dude. But I'm telling you, I think this season, I don't think the Bills are going to put him in a position to be like the guy. I think it's going to be a team effort for real on offense where, I think they're going to spread it around. And I think Samuel is going to be like not the number one. He's going to be the most used in my opinion, though. So if you want to look at it from that perspective, but I just don't think we're going to have a true number 1 wide receiver on his team. So I think he's going to be out there week 1 and he's going to be balling whatever we're going to do with him all year. He'll be doing week 1, but I just don't think that he's that guy right now yet.
That's a hot take. All the energy is around how he's playing and what he's doing. I think there's one negative Keon Coleman take that was from some obscure, not Bills related dude. And I mentioned him up, but anyway, I got a little salty on that one. But anyways, transitioning over to the defense, I think one of the bigger concerns that I have on this defense, aside from the fact that we don't necessarily know who the starting safeties are. We don't know necessarily what the defensive line rotation is going to be outside of the first 4. But the big one for me is Matt Milano. And a big part of what I've learned this offseason doing a bunch of shows with Jerry Ostrowski is Jerry had the same exact injury that Matt had, a platea or a plateau fracture, which is a fracture at the top of your knee. It actually ended Jerry's career. He was obviously in the league for 9 years or 10 years at that point in time, but it is what sent him down the road when it happened. as much as I know that there's a measure of getting that rhythm back, and there's a measure of getting the eyes back and getting the reflexes and the reactions back. He hasn't played in almost a year. There's some favoritism on that knee that just concerns me a little bit. And I don't know. You want to believe that Terrell Bernard and Dorian Williams can handle it, right? If they need to, if Milano's not ready. They're saying that Milano's good to go. They're saying he's a full participant in practices, but I've watched video of him driving off of that leg. And as a guy that's recently had knee surgery, you have had reconstructive knee surgery. There's a mental hurdle there too. Von Miller went through it last year. I mean, there's a measure of, how do I want to drive off? Is it going to, like, your brain's almost telling, your knee's telling you this is going to hurt, even though it's not. Even when it's healed and it's no longer hurting, your knee's still saying, this might hurt. Right.
You know what? I was very proud of Von for admitting that he shouldn't have played last year. I just want to throw that out there with your question. With Matt Milano, I will say, from what I've heard, I haven't seen it like you. I'm not obviously going to camp. I'm out here in Arizona, so I haven't been to camp. But I've heard that he's ready, and I heard that he's okay, but they're kind of inching him back in, and they're making sure that they're taking care of him. I tell you what, if he's not ready, I'm praying to God that the Buffalo Bills do not make the same decision, the same mistake 2 years in a row, and play a guy that should not play just because you want to have the name on the field. I get it. You're paying Von Miller a lot of money. I know Bills, me included, a lot of pressure when Bills fans are chirping. We're paying Von all this money. He's not playing. So you play him. But at the end of the day, I think last year Von hurt us more than he's helped us. And as much as Matt Milano he's a beast, he's a freaking monster. I do not want Matt Milano to come back too early and either re-injure himself or, he's going to look like, I don't want him to look like what we had before him and Tremaine and whoever. Like we had a really rough time at linebacker at one point. I don't want to go through that again.
Yeah, you have to ask the question, is an injured Matt Milano or a 90% or 85% Matt Milano better than 100% of Dorian Williams? That's the question you've got to ask yourself, right?
Well, and that's the question. Is he 90%? Like, what percentage is he? So before saying, like, because I do think that a 90% Matt Milano is better than probably, I would say like 60% of the league at his position.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if from what you've seen with the clips, and then, I haven't, but if he's not up to par, up to the standard that we've seen, what percentage is he? Because, again, I would be cautious. We saw what happened with Von, and, I think even if we would have had a lesser player come in and play instead of Von playing, I think we would have had similar or better results. So why not? Yeah. You get what I'm saying? And I just think it was a bad decision. So I'm hoping that Matt's okay, and I'm hoping that he's ready to go.
The interesting thing about Von, and we can transition over to Von now. We got a couple minutes left, so a couple topics left too. Von Miller admitted Von Miller. How many things has he told us that were not necessarily truthful between OBJ? I'll be healthy in 6 months. Like there was
everything. Everything. Von has not told the truth one time. The only time he told the truth was when he said that blue cheese is better than ranch. That was it.
And when he said I should have been playing last year. It's interesting. It's interesting to me because I feel like Von Miller made the decision to play. He has said in that presser where he came out and said that Bean and McDermott couldn't have kept him off the field like last year. And I think what it turned into, because he translated that immediately into, the next 15 sacks are really big for me because I'm 15 more sacks. I'm in the top 10 all-time sack leader. And every sack I'm passing somebody significant on that list. And I've gone through that list, and like the names on the list are pretty incredible. And I feel like maybe he was in a situation of like, if I don't get out there and play, like I'm going to lose the opportunity to get that last 15 sacks. So I feel like as much as we want to believe Bills brass let him play or made him play or forced him into the lineup, I think it was more of a Von Miller being, yep, I'm good. And then getting out there. And even the game that he sat for last year in the middle of the season, I feel like that was the staff going, you're not good. Like, I think you need to take a little break. And then he popped up and went, I'm good. Right. And then came back in. And then his best game was the last game of the season against the Chiefs. So
is it too early for me to start my McDermott hate for the year?
You can if you'd like.
Well, no, because what you just said there just literally pissed me off. Like, it really just ruined my whole mood. Like, you just said, like Von said, that nobody could stop me, and which is, I know what Von said, but the reality is that was the truth. They literally did not stop him. They literally let him play when he wasn't well. He wasn't good. We saw We saw Stephon Diggs have more tackles than Von Miller in a season.
That is an obscure that one is going on the reel tomorrow because that
is a fact. That is a fact. Tomorrow, everybody in the chat, go Google. Don't leave YouTube right.
Don't leave the show.
But go look and see tackles from last season. Buffalo Bills. Look at how many Von Miller had and look at how many Stephon Diggs had, and then holler at me. I'm gonna tell you, when you make decisions like that as a head coach, okay, Von came back. Once you see that he's not ready, guess what, Von? You're not ready, man. We're gonna move in a different direction. Don't let this dude play all season, and then that's a problem for me. That's a problem for me. And then two, I understand that everybody now at this point is we're okay that we've moved on from Diggs because now we got Keon and now we're in training camp. And I'm okay with moving on from Diggs from the perspective of it was drama and he was a drama queen. You know, like I know all the talk. I know all the talk that everybody's saying and he's this, that, and the third. It was dramatic and I got tired too. But I'll tell you what, on Sundays, I want that guy on my team. And you take the biggest damn dead cap for a wide receiver in history. And then I understand. Listen, I'm where I'm at this season, Joe. McDermott is the new McKenzie. I'm gonna just put it out there like that.
Wow.
That's where I'm at this year.
Spence is back, ladies and gentlemen. Jay Spencer King is back.
That's where I'm at. I know everybody don't feel that. We're because I've been on this side. McDermott is successful. We've been winning. So I get it where I'm at because I was there where I'm like, yo, you can't be mad at McDermott. There's other ways to measure success other than winning Super Bowls. You go to the playoffs, only one team wins the Super Bowl. I've been saying it. I've been doing it. But guess what? The problem is at some point we have to go from the level we're on to another level. And that doesn't mean that he's not a good coach. It just means that you elevated us from where we were in the basement, and this is as high as you can go. At some point, the ownership, the fan base, the team, the community has to demand more. And that's just where I'm at as a fan now. We have Josh Allen. He's going into year what? Year 7? Mm-hmm. Year 8? Where are we at? 7. Year 7. And we've seen him have 2 MVP caliber seasons. We've seen him have 4 top 5 caliber seasons. And we went to the AFC Championship once, and now I feel like we're regressing as a team. Every year, our results are going backwards. We were in the AFC Championship. We were in a divisional round. We lost in the wild card round in a divisional. I'm tired, okay? I need Josh Allen to get to where he's supposed to take us. Let's get to the promised land. My bad for the whole. That's
what we tune in for, brother. So that was epic. That was pretty. That was historical. Jay Spence the King right there. I loved it.
It's not frustrating to you though.
Well, so I have a thought around it. So what I would say is I feel like it was that pressure, that feeling that you're talking about was at a historical level last year, and I was right there with you saying like if Sean McDermott misses the playoffs to the likes of the teams that are going to make it in front of him and the coaches that are going to make it in front of him in the AFC, he probably deserves to be fired when Josh Allen is your quarterback. Now, what the Bills did was they did what the Bills always do. They caught fire and ran down the stretch of the season and won a whole bunch of games. And the season this year sets up the exact same way. The beginning of the schedule, the first half of the Bills schedule is brutal. The Dolphins' first half of the schedule is cake. The Bills' second half of the season is cake. The Dolphins' second half of the season is brutal. It's almost like the NFL script writers. Oh, did I say that out loud? The NFL schedule makers are basically setting this up because it's good television. People like to see the Buffalo Bills chase the Dolphins down and ruin their hopes at anything. And basically the season's going to effectively look that way. And if it doesn't, and I feel like Bills Mafia is in that same place. We made the playoffs. We won a playoff game. We didn't get to where we wanted to go. And now we're in this soft rebuild, soft reset thing. So there's some rope that McDermott has. I don't think there's any chance that anything happens to McDermott this year. I think the wheels could completely come off. This wide receiver group ends up being trash. The defense gives up 30 points a game. And there's too many reasons to be like, well, the wide receivers are all new. They weren't on the same page. The defense has holes. We don't have the normal rotation of 50% per player on the D line. So that really messed us up, even though no other team in the NFL does that. However, I think the year after that, I think all bets are on as far as what happens to him, what happens to his legacy with this team. It would be something to see a situation where McDermott, who was hired before Brandon Beane, finds himself in a position to have to let McDermott go. I said it to you last year, I believe. I don't think there's a world where it happens before the new stadium opens. I don't think there's any way Sean McDermott is let go before the new stadium opens. There's too much consistency there. There's too many people that like him. He puts butts in seats. The team is good.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, unless you're getting one of the Harbaughs, right, or you're getting Sean Payton, or you're getting somebody that's going to like absolutely take this team to the Super Bowl, I just can't see it.
Well, and first, I want to agree with you there. Like, I'm not saying that I think this is what the Bills are gonna do. I was saying, as a fan, as Jay Spence, like, I'm saying, he's not getting fired. Like,
no,
we've made the playoffs every year except one. We've broken every, like, he has like the winningest, like all of the stuff that Sean McDermott has done in Buffalo that means he's going to be here for some time. So I'm not saying he's going anywhere. What I'm saying is, when you as the head coach choose to not like bench or make your injured punter inactive in a big home playoff game against like probably the team that is your biggest rival at this point, and then you do a fake punt to Damar Hamlin, I think you should be fired. That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I know they didn't do it, and I know he's not going to be fired, but I'm just saying, like, in a home game in the playoffs against your biggest rival, you're not going to do what you did against the Patriots a few years back, where it's a no punt game. That's not happening against Patrick Mahomes. It's not happening against Patrick Mahomes.
That was
so that's where I'm at. Like, that's what I'm saying. McDermott is the McKinsey of coaching right now.
That was the why. You bring back Matt Hawk, who's elite level holder, which obviously Bass has had trouble, and you can argue that had trouble with Bojorquez. I said this last night. Had trouble with Bojorquez. Was great with Matt Hawk. Has had trouble with Sam Martin. You bring Matt Hawk back, and then all of a sudden, same week that Sam Martin is injured, and then they cut him, and it's like, oh, Sam Martin is apparently going to punt with a torn hamstring. This should go well, and it didn't. But to that point, we've got a couple minutes left. Is that battle over? That punter battle over before it's even started? Like, is Sam Martin the punter on this football team? Is that where we're at?
It is. Sal. I saw Sal tweet. I haven't been at camp, and I haven't been able to really keep up, but Sal tweeted out this morning or yesterday that the other punter was cut for the safety they brought in. So, like, he's gone. So
I missed that.
Holy
smokes.
So it's over. And Sal was actually saying that he thought that Martin was actually going to lose the job. So it's again, this now the season hasn't come. We don't know how this is going to play out, but I'm just telling you, I have a ton of questions about how Sean McDermott is making decisions. I have a ton of questions about just the composition of this roster. We kind of skimmed over the defense a little bit, like we were talking about Matt Milano and certain things. But you said you're concerned about the safeties. I'm concerned about. I'm concerned. Like, I'm not. This has nothing to do with Jordan and Micah. This has nothing to do with Trey being gone. I'm saying I'm concerned because we're putting a defense out there where half of it I'm just not familiar with. And I know Sean McDermott typically has a really good defensive scheme where players come and they're the best version of themselves. But I'm gonna just tell you, I'm really concerned now at this point with the level of football that I've learned over the last few years. I think I've gotten pretty smart in this. I'm not Bruce. I'm not a coach. That's why I'm a podcaster. But I'm saying, like, there's certain things that I've learned that make sense in football.
Right.
And just a few too many is what I'll say. Over the last several years, Sean McDermott has made questionable calls, and I no longer have the energy or the passion to defend him.
Gotcha. Well, on that note, I'm going to get us up on out of here. That was how do you feel? Because I think you lit this world on fire, buddy.
Tell them how you feel. That was me coming back. That's my welcome back.
You came out week one hot. Came out hot. Like that has been building up inside of you for like a couple of months, I think. Like, and it
actually hasn't, because I ain't been talking about him. I haven't thought about him, man. Other than, like, honestly, I have been, I kept up during the draft, and then there's some other things I've been keeping up with as far as just operations wise, but I really haven't. I've been mad since the loss. I've been mad about it. And I think that's probably why I was so okay with unplugging, because this last season, I didn't think the Bills should have won the Super Bowl, but to lose that game against the Chiefs that way.
Yep. That's
what upset me.
That was me 2 years against the Bengals. That was me 2 years against the Bengals. I left that. I left that. Too. Yeah. I didn't even do a post game show that year. I was like, not doing a post game. I think that was the year I didn't do one. Like, after the last game, I was like, I'm not doing a I was like, I'm not doing a show. I'm out. So I'm going to go ahead and get us out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to the Hump Day Hotline on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by Believe. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Tomorrow, make sure to tune in to the Big O Show with Jerry Ostrowski, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And on Friday, If the Walls Could Talk in Buffalo returns as well. But for me, for Jay Spence, the King, we love you guys. We appreciate you. And we are going to see you again next week. This thing is on like Donkey Kong. Hump Day Hotline. Make sure you hump that like. Make sure you subscribe and all that good stuff. But for me, for Jay Spence, love you guys. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Let's go.